The Galactic Council had many rules about humans, but the most important one was carved into every diplomatic vessel in 3 languages. Never harm a human's young. Never harm those they've adopted, Ambassador. Kelleth hadn't thought much about that warning until the day human Sarah came to the morning briefing with a bruise, blooming purple across her cheekbone. "I'm fine," she whispered when Kelleth's antenna twitched with concern. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. Kelleth had worked with humans for 3 years. He knew that particular phrase. "I'm fine," meant the opposite in human communication. A linguistic peculiarity that confused most species, but one that Kelleth had learned to recognize. Before he could press further, Sarah excused herself and hurried to her station. Kelleth noticed how she moved, one hand pressed against her ribs. He noticed the tremor in her fingers as she worked. He also noticed the humans watching her. The station housed 47 humans among its crew of 300. They came from different nations, different cultures, different worlds now. But that afternoon, Kelleth observed something he'd only read about in xenoanthropology texts. The humans were coordinating. It started with Lieutenant Marcus, who sat beside Sarah at lunch despite usually eating with the engineering crew. Then Dr. Okonkwo, who happened to need Sarah's assistance in the medical bay for a routine scan. Captain Zhang personally delivered Sarah's duty roster, speaking in low tones. By evening shift, every human on the station had made contact with Sarah. To an outside observer, it looked casual, natural. Kelleth knew better. He'd seen wolf packs move with less coordination. Sarah left her quarters only once that night, returning quickly with a small bag. Security footage showed her wiping tears as she walked. It also showed her entering Lieutenant Chen's quarters, one of the few with reinforced doors and internal locks. The next morning, Sarah didn't come to the briefing. Commander Rilax did. The Krelthian officer was built like a tank with 4 arms and a carapace that could shrug off small arms fire. He was station security chief, and he strode into the diplomatic section with the confidence of someone used to intimidating others. "Where is human Sarah?" he demanded. "She missed her shift in my section." Kelleth watched as every human in the room stopped working. The temperature seemed to drop 10 degrees. "Sarah has been reassigned," Captain Zhang said, her voice flat. "Diplomatic immunity protocols." "She works for me. She worked for you," Lieutenant Marcus interrupted, standing. Past tense. Rilax's mandibles clicked with irritation. "This is unacceptable. I will file a complaint." "You should leave now," Dr. Okonkwo said quietly. She hadn't looked up from her data pad. "Sir, with all respect, you should leave this section immediately." Kelleth's antenna began to vibrate. He'd seen this before on nature documentaries about Earth. The way prey animals suddenly went still. The moment before the predator struck, Rilax didn't understand. He stepped forward, reaching for Captain Zhang's desk with one massive arm. "I demand to speak with..." 23 humans stood up simultaneously, no weapons, no threats. They simply stood, and the air filled with something Kelleth couldn't name but definitely recognized. It was the same energy that had carried humans across the galaxy, despite their fragile bodies and short lifespans. The same stubborn resilience that made them legendary as soldiers, as explorers, as protectors. Rilax froze. His combat training finally kicked in, the part that recognized danger regardless of apparent power differentials. "Commander Rilax," Captain Zhang said softly, "I've reviewed security footage from your private office. I've also reviewed Sarah's medical scans. Would you like me to continue?" The Krelthian's carapace paled slightly. "Station Commander Tilok will want to review this evidence," Zhang continued. "As will the Galactic Council. As will Earth Defense Command." She smiled, but there was nothing warm in it. "Did you know humans have a saying? It takes a village to raise a child. We extend that to anyone we consider family." "It was discipline," Rilax said, but his voice had lost its strength. "She failed to follow protocol." "She's not Krelthian," Lieutenant Marcus said. "Human bodies don't work like yours. You cracked 2 of her ribs. You gave her a concussion." "You!" His voice dropped to something dangerous. "Put your hands on someone under our protection." Kelleth finally understood. Sarah wasn't just a crew member to these humans. She was young, barely 22 Earth years. Fresh from the academy, in human terms still practically a child, and they'd adopted her into their pack. "The cubs," Kelleth whispered in his own language. Every human head turned toward him. Captain Zhang nodded slowly. She's our cub, Zhang confirmed. And you heard her. Rilax was removed from the station that night. His career ended, facing charges on 3 worlds. The Galactic Council investigation took 2 weeks, but the conclusion was swift and brutal. Humans, they reminded everyone, had submitted to galactic law on one condition. Anyone under their protection was sacrosanct. Keleth visited Sarah a month later. She was working with the diplomatic corps now, thriving under Captain Zhang's mentorship. The bruise had faded. The fear in her eyes had diminished. "How are you?" he asked. Sarah smiled. A real smile this time. "I'm fine," she said. And this time, she meant it. Behind her, Lieutenant Marcus was teaching her self-defense moves. Dr. Okonkwo was laughing at something on her datapad. The human section had gathered for their weekly meal, and Sarah sat in the center of it all, protected, safe, home. Keleth updated his personal log that night. Humans are individually formidable, but humanity's true strength lies not in their warriors or their weapons. It lies in their capacity to form unbreakable bonds, and heaven help anyone who threatens those they've claimed as their own. The cubs are always protected, always.